right, so welcome everybody. The way we're doing this is I'm actually setting this up in two parts. This first part, we're going to go over all of this wonderful information here. And I'm going to talk about goal setting for the year 2021, specifically how to jumpstart your year and get your first quarter going. The second part of this, I'm just going to open it up to questions. Hold on, let me see. There we go. I'm going to open it up to questions, and we're just going to discuss where you guys are thinking. Where are you guys in relation to the plan? So thank you all for being here. I really do appreciate this. My name is Julio Briones, and I am the CEO of Briones Consulting Group, as you all see here. And a little bit of history about myself. I come from the world of franchising, and I've been in home care for over 20 years now. All right, I'm 44. I've been doing this home care stuff since I was about 15. I started out in the industry as a recruiter, worked my way up. I've opened, in the last 5 years alone, over 40 companies that have passed the $1 million a year mark, with 3 of the companies specifically that have passed the $3 million a year mark in private pay only. I do not do a lot with Medicaid or Medicare state waivers. To me, that's not a very profitable business, in my opinion, and I just personally don't like it, and I'll explain a little bit why. So if you are in the private pay space, if you are from zero, hold on, I don't know why this camera is losing focus, but if you're between 0 and 2 years in operation, you should be at the low end at about 150,000 of annual revenue, and on the high end at about $500,000. These aren't exact numbers. Some people, the learning curve is a little slower, and it also depends on what point of the year you started in. All right, so roughly where you want to be, or where your goal is, your first milestone is going to be at about 500 hours a week. All right, 500 billable hours a week. Once whatever your price is, you make your estimates based on that. And this is essentially where you're going to want to hit. Year 2 to 4, you should be at somewhere between $500,000 and $750,000. And if you've been in operation for over 4 years, you should be well past the 750 year mark. All right. What this roughly translates into is about $12,500 to $41,000 per month in billing, about $41,500 to $62,500 between 2 and 4 years, and $62,500 to $415,000 if you're above the 4-year mark. All right, these numbers, some people might look at them and go, wow, I'll never achieve that, but it actually comes down to a simple thing. What are your goals? What do you want to hit for your revenue for this year? Go ahead, if you guys take a moment, let me see a little bit of what you guys are thinking. Where do you want to hit, or where do you expect to be by the end of 2021 based on your years of operation and where your business is going right now? You can unmute yourself, or you can drop it in there. All right, 500K. All right, Tamika, 500K, 750 to 5 mil mark for Antoinette. All right, Antoinette, is that realistically you've been open over 4 years, or is this just kind of like where you want to see yourself by the end of the year? Same thing with you, Tamika. Is the 500K where you should be, or where you actually think you'll realistically hit at this point? All right. Well, while you guys are answering that, let me go ahead and let's walk down the formula. Okay, so I believe I'm realistic, but I'm new. Okay. All right, Tamika, 500K is actually very realistic, even if you are new. It's where you want to see yourself. All right, these are great goals. So what we want to do is we want to understand how we get there. Revenue, that's your billable hours. This is how much you're looking at. How do we get there? Well, the formula is very simple. It's not simple to get there, but it's a basic formula. We need to make sure we have enough clients coming in, enough caregivers coming in, and in the mix, we need to make sure that our quality assurance and everything else is where it needs to be. So what does this mean? This means that we have to have enough digital ads and business development practices that are going to lead to clients. So because our quality assurance will increase the word of mouth and increase our conversion rate. When we are talking about caregivers, we need to make sure that our recruitment and our retention is on point, and all of this combined is where we're going to hit this. So if we are looking at the private pay business, one of the key things that we need to focus on is our referrals, our clients. We want to hit these numbers up here that where everyone's talking about that they want to hit that 41,000 a month mark. That's great. How are we going to do this? Now, when you guys are sitting down and looking at your planning, let me ask a simple question to the group here. How many people in this that are watching this right now are actually out there marketing your business to facilities? How many people have a solid plan to get out there and consistently and persistently bring our services to market? Okay, because that's a big step. This is our business development process. We're going to go into detail in the next 3 days on all of this, but these are just your revenue goals right now that you need to think about. If you are a full-time marketer, meaning that you are focusing your business on bringing in clients on a consistent basis for 35 to 40 hours, all right, out of your week, that means you should be having between 35 and 40 business development activities every single week. Basically, it's a 1-to-1 ratio. For every hour that you are working, you should have 1 hour of activity in a place. Now, does that mean that we are going to actively go out and visit 35 to 40 places? No. Does that mean that as business owners, we have the time to dedicate 40 hours a week? The answer is hell no. Okay. If you're an agency owner and you are in your first year of operation, the odds are you're in the trenches right along everyone else. The odds are you are either by yourself doing the bulk of the work, meaning you are the recruiter, you are the office manager, you are the biller, you are the human resources person, you are the receptionist, you are a little bit of everything. So we are probably here in the 10 to 20 hours a week mark. Okay, so this, again, we're going to get into more detail down the road, during the rest of this week. But if you're doing this part-time, you should be doing 10 to 20 hours or 10 to 20 contacts every single week. So when we get to the business development and sales piece, okay, the client acquisition piece, if I'm not mistaken, that is tomorrow. We will go into a lot of detail about this. So if you guys are here today and you want to know how to grow your business, of all the days that you're going to be here, do not miss tomorrow. Okay. So what this comes down to is, what are our activities, right? We want to make sure we're doing visits. And correct me if I'm wrong, but some of you are probably thinking, but Julio, how are we going to visit any place? It's COVID, pandemic. The pandemic, they're not allowing people home care salespeople to come into facilities. Well, some of you are already doing Medicaid. You guys are doing other services. And you already have established relationships with some facilities where you can walk in. Depending on where you are, I deal with people in different parts of the country and different parts of North America. Some places are still allowing home care agencies into the building. If you're in an area that is, congratulations, get marketing. If you're in an area that is not, then you have to find other ways around. And one of those big ways is going to be developing your influencers network. And again, we'll go into more detail on that part tomorrow. So what are our goals? Now we have, as I said, our clients and our caregivers. This is the other part of the formula. If you are trying to cover a shift, you should have on your reserve 3 caregivers. All right, let me go ahead and let that get back into focus. Why is this important to know and to understand? Because those of you who have been in business for more than a day will also clearly understand that caregivers are not the most reliable people. All right, no one's got their video on, so I was going to say show of hands. Who here is having, who here has already experienced, you have your heart set on a caregiver showing up, and surprise, no caregiver. Yes, absolutely, Sarah. I know that is a common problem. I'm going to give you guys a quick tip on this. I'm going to jump ahead of the recruitment and retention piece here. When it comes to customer service, okay, and we're dealing with caregiver callouts, here's the best tip you can have. If you have a brand new case starting and you are trying to get it staffed, make sure you have a primary caregiver and a backup. What do I mean? This is day 1 of the case. The caregiver has to travel about 30 minutes. I'm in Jersey, and I've been doing this in Jersey, New York, even as far up as Massachusetts. We get a lot of snow around here, okay? And if you guys are in an area where you get snow, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Caregiver is supposed to start, there's 2 flakes of snow outside. The forecast says there's not going to be any snow. And you're counting on that caregiver to get there because it's a 168-hour case, and this is the first referral from a referral partner, and you need somebody to shine. So 9 o'clock the shift starts. 9:15 you get a very angry call from a client. Oh my goodness, where's your caregiver? And you're just panicking at this point, trying to figure it out. You find a replacement caregiver, but by the time they get ready and they can get there, it is now 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning, and you have lost 2 billable hours and your credibility as an agency. All right, after having worked a very hard, very long time to get your caregiver, to get this client secured in the first place. Here's a tip to avoid that. When a case begins, make sure you have caregiver number 1. Hey, Sally, caregiver, how's it going? Listen, I need you to cover a case. It's in XYZ township, and the shift is from 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. Do you want it? Yeah, listen, I'm counting on you. Please be there. All right, this is our first day with this case. Show up on time. So now I hang up with Sally, the caregiver. I'm picking up the phone immediately right away, and I'm calling Molly, the caregiver. Hey, Molly, how's it going? Listen, I might have a case starting tomorrow morning. I don't know yet. Would you be able to be on standby and get there on short notice if we need to? Molly does not need to know she is not the primary caregiver, and what you do is if she agrees and Sally did not show up, now you have somebody that can be there in 10 to 15 minutes rather than 1 to 2 hours. What it does is, beyond getting your case covered and you are able to bill closer to the full amount, it also will show the client and your referral partner that you are able to handle things quickly, efficiently, and effectively, which will lead to more credibility of your service and increased referrals, as well as an increase in word of mouth. Okay, because word of mouth, right here, it's another big part of how you're going to grow your business. In today's world, our goals need to be client acquisition. So what does this mean? If we want to hit an average, we're all talking about this 500,000 to 750,000 mark. So in order for us to hit that 41,000 to 62,000 per month, the average lifespan of a client is about 11 to 13,000. Okay, that is the lifetime of a client from the minute you sign up the client under the private pay model till the time the client either passes away or moves or gets better and moves on to another agency. Now, this is an average. So what does this mean? This means that some of your clients unfortunately will pass away before your caregiver gets there. Other of your clients will sign up for 168 hours a week. That's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 3 or 4 years. If you average it all out over the life of your business, it's going to be between $11,000 and $13,000 per client. All right. So that means in order for us to hit 500,000, we need cumulatively about what? 50 clients over the course of a year. Okay. So what on the other end of this, it means you need to average 1 to 2 private pay clients for about 12 to 20 hours a week every single month. You need to sign that up. When you count the clients that fall off versus the clients that keep going with you, it's going to average out to about 28 to 32 clients over the course of a year. All right, consistently, meaning that if we start counting in January and we get 1 to 2 clients a month, by the time we hit December of next year, we will have a roster of 28 to 32 active private pay clients if we're averaging this out. That means some months you're going to receive 1 client or 0 clients. Other months you're going to sign up 4 or 5. It's an average, okay? And this is what it comes down to. So what do we have to do in order to achieve that? Well, we need to bring in somewhere about 10 to 15 referrals a month through digital ads and business development. Again, we're going to get to the business development part when we talk about tomorrow in tomorrow's session, I believe it is, if I'm not mistaken, it's tomorrow or Wednesday. And this means a marketing mix. So if you can only dedicate as an owner without being able to afford that $60,000 to $80,000 a year for a salesperson, we need that's an average, by the way. I will tell you, if you work it right, and we'll talk about that in another session about hiring, you can actually get a really solid salesperson for about $30,000 to $40,000 a year with the right commission plan. But 10 to 20 hours that you're doing yourself, okay, that means you have to invest about $500 to $1,500 a month in digital resources. That means properly constructed Google Ads. That also means different referral funnels like Karen Homes, Aging Care, Care.com. All of these companies that will sell you ridiculously expensive ads just to funnel people your way. Now, this is part of your marketing mix. So as your business development efforts go up and you start producing more referrals, your digital will actually go down. Okay? So don't get scared by the investment of $500 to $1,500 a month. That's only in the beginning. Once you are more established and people recognize that your agency will cover their private paying clients, this number will drop, because eventually you're going to be able to hire somebody to go out there full time. And if you notice, once you have a full-time marketer that's firing on all cylinders, you're only spending about $300 to $500 a month on digital spend. All right, so it all balances out. It's the same conundrum that we have with new agencies. All right, when we are doing recruitment in the very beginning, we have this many caregivers. Oh, let me move over here with this many caregivers and this many clients. Okay, so as you get busier, your number of clients are going up. All right, but your amount of available caregivers, that pool, goes down. So you're constantly recruiting, constantly marketing, and this is what the business comes down to. Let me ask a general question here, if anybody actually knows. Who is your client? How many clients do we actually have in this industry? Anyone? 3. All right, Antoinette, I'm guessing you saw my video. All right, but yes, you are absolutely right. We have 3 primary clients. We have our referral partners. Okay, that's client number 1. These are the people that you're going to count on to send you actual paying clients. All right. If you're not able to meet their needs and to improve their business, they will not meet your needs or improve your business. It's very simple. You know, I heard this a long time ago, and it's the most fantastic analogy that I've ever heard. Most people listen to WIIFM radio. They have this playing all the time. WIIFM is what's in it for me. Okay, that's it. Your referral partners, those are your social workers, your nurses, the owners of senior centers, your home health agencies that provide the skilled medical care, local attorneys. All of these people are potential referral partners. All right. So what's in it for them? You want them to send you clients. So how are you fixing their problem? Social workers, again, we'll get into more detail on this tomorrow, but social workers are probably the busiest people you're going to run into. You're looking at 1 to 2 social workers to handle, on average, a facility of anywhere from 100 to 150 people doing 50 to 60 discharges a month. If you can't make their life easier, you will never get a client out of that facility. If you cannot consistently make their life easier, it's not going to happen. That's client number 1. Client number 2 is the family. Okay? More times than not, if those of you that have been in business for more than a few months and that you've been actively pursuing private paying clients, by this point, you will already know and understand that many times the seniors themselves are not the ones requesting the help. Many times it's adult children. See, like me, I'll use myself as an example. I'm 44 years old. I have a 20-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 1-year-old child. I also have a very ill 75-year-old mother. All right. I am what's called the sandwich generation. Many of you watching this right now are also part of this same sandwich generation. So you have to worry about taking care of kids at various ages. And you have to worry about taking care of your older, sicker parents. You're stuck. You're that sandwich. You're right in the middle. So what happens? Our client, our family, our ideal client is going to start looking for help at about the age of 72. Okay? 72 years old. That is the average age in America when somebody starts realizing, hey, I'm a little bit old. I might need some help. I'm not as spry as I used to be. 72. They don't get younger. They don't get healthier from there. Usually as we move on, these people we're trying to help, they need our help more and more desperately. Okay? In order for somebody to afford the private pay, typically, depending on where you live in the country, because I mean, obviously, the cost of living in New York City is a lot higher than the cost of living in Little Rock, Arkansas. So typically, we are looking for somebody who has a household income of $90,000 to usually right around 150. All right. I type everything for a reason. I'm sorry about my messy handwriting, but we're looking for some that household income between $90,000 and $150,000 a year. Why? The short answer, the simplest answer is because when you're making $90,000 as a single person, you are living pretty well. You are living well enough that you do not want to give up your lifestyle. When you are making $150,000 and more as a married couple, you're in the same situation. You are living pretty decently. All right. Some would say very comfortably, depending on where you are in the world. And you do not want to give that up. When you start reaching past that 500,000 mark, that ultra rich, that's not who we're talking about. We're talking about upper middle class people here. Again, $90,000 to about $150,000, maybe $175,000 for the household income. They have to work. These are not people that are independently wealthy, and if they lose their income, then their lifestyle goes down. So $90,000 also allows them to afford your service at anywhere from $25 to $60 an hour, depending on where you are in the world. And if I'm not mistaken, everybody in this group is from somewhere in Ohio, which, by the way, my company's relocating out there soon. Well, but $25 to $60 an hour, and yes, I actually have clients in Ohio that I've gotten to charge $60 an hour for private pay. The highest I've hit has been in Michigan. I have a client that is currently charging $75 an hour. Okay, it is doable. For every price point, there is a client. All right, but when you hit these numbers, these people can afford it. You know, they can afford it. The cost of living is what it is. You move on, but they can't afford to give up their lifestyle. They want to keep working. They need to keep working, and they like to have nice things. And that is your client. That is the client that is going to net you anywhere from 40 to 60 hours a week of services. Okay. Does all of this make sense? Yes. Thumbs up. Yes. No. Anyone have any questions so far? No? Okay. So moving on. So because our client, our second client, is the client's family, and these are the people that are footing the bill and probably about 80 to 90% of the time. All right, or they have some sort of decision-making authority if they're not directly putting up the money. Okay. We need to know what their needs are. How do we serve their needs? Well, for them, it's not the same what's in it for me, all right, of how are you going to improve my client base or anything else like you would with your referral partner. For them, it's about reliability. All right. How efficient is your agency? How reliable are your caregivers? How well insured are you? Okay. These are all big points. You know, if I believe your caregiver stole something from my mother because she put something, which 90% of the time, this is all it is. Mom moved something, forgot where she put it because she's getting up there in age, and it's easier to accuse your aide than admit that the memory is failing. Okay. So are you prepared to handle this? Are you going to take responsibility, not blame, but responsibility for the actions? Now, are you going to be able to cover the shift if your caregiver calls out so that I don't have to miss a day of work? These are the needs of your family. Are you communicating with me? Hey, my mom lives, in, I don't know, in Cleveland, and, I'm down in Florida. I need to make sure that my mom is being taken care of, and I need to sleep well at night. Can your agency handle that? These are the needs of them. The third client is the actual person you're taking care of, the end user. They want to know, how well trained is your aide? Can your aide handle everything that they need? Are they able to cook? Are they able to do meal prep? Are they able to go grocery shopping for them? Are they able to safely transfer them if you're in a state that permits personal care? What are your aides going to do? And do I have to really sit here by myself if your aide doesn't show up? These are all things that are important to that client. Okay. And these are our three basic clients whenever we're running an agency. And you have to ask yourself, how prepared are you? Where do you have a solid quality assurance program in place? Are you and your team, whoever your team may be, you might be an army of one right now. Okay. But down the road, as you get busier, you're gonna have a team. Do you already have in place the tools that your team is going to need to move forward properly? And I'm not talking about the policies and procedures that you might need for Medicaid. I'm talking about real systems in place. Do you have them? Have you already started looking at where your business needs to be? All right, everybody all right if I erase some of this? Yeah, yes. All right, well, I'm gonna erase some of this down here. All right. If we are between 0 and 12 months in operation, we're going to have 2 employees. It's going to be us and a helper. Okay? This is where our business is and where it kind of lives right now. Some of you may have more, some people may have less. It's really a matter of preference, but this is where ideally you should be. 1 is you. And your role is going to be that of a marketer, manager, and HR. Okay, and person number 2 is an assistant. Okay, and they're going to have the role of, receptionist, scheduler, and maybe doing interviews, like initial interviews. Okay, so again, there's a lot more stuff that everybody's going to be doing, but generally speaking, these are the primary roles that you're going to fix. Are you there yet? If you're not in this range already, why not? Ask yourself. I understand hiring people is expensive, but you got to start planning for where your business wants to be. If you want to be here, okay, 500 to 750,000. Okay, we're looking at, that's usually the, probably the 6 to 24 months. Okay, that's where you need to be at that stage. Hold on, let me wait for the camera to catch focus again. There we are. All right, 6 to 24 months. You should be 3 people. Okay. At the very least, that third person is going to be taking up the slack for whatever it is you don't want to do. Many people will tell you to hire a full-time marketer right away. I won't. I will never tell you that, because some people, marketing is their wheelhouse. Okay, if I were to be an agency owner myself right now, I would be out there marketing. There's a lot of other stuff I would not want to do. So my suggestion is always take that 30,000 foot view, take a real solid look at what you hate to do. And that's where your hired staff should be taking up the slack. Okay. If you don't like to market, if you don't like to go out there and be the face of your company, after about 6 months of operation, you should start planning for that. If you're at a point where you already know this is not your wheelhouse, this is not what you enjoy doing, you should start putting away and planning to build your business to the point where you can hire that third person. Now, again, a seasoned marketer will make anywhere from 40 to about 90K a year. That sounds like a lot of money. Okay, I'm sure, if I were to tell you to come up with 90,000 plus employer burden, you're going to sit there and go, holy crap, that's a lot of money. Like, I don't want to have to pay that, but it's not, because after about 3 to 6 months, it's not an expense anymore. That 40,000, 50,000, 60,000, whatever it is. Let's say it's you're paying them 60,000 a year. Okay, that means it's roughly costing you about 5,000 a month. So if at the end of 3 months you see that they're not producing, you didn't really spend $60,000. You spent 15 because you should be ready to fire them. At the end of, you set up benchmarks for these people every month. hey, end of month one, I want to see certain results. Not necessarily clients, but you want to see very specific things that they're accomplishing. By the end of month two, they should have already accomplished everything from month one. Plus, by this point, they should already be getting you referrals if they're brand new in the area. By the end of month three, you're already hitting referral goals. Hey, listen, you need to make this many contacts. You need to have made this many inbound referrals need to start coming in at this point. And they should, at the very least, by the end of the third month, somewhere between month 3 and 6, they should not cost you any additional money. Nothing should be coming out of your pocket at that point. They should be bringing in enough business to cover their own expense. So if that's what you need. Now, if you are comfortable and you are very good at bringing in clients, then you should be out there doing it. And person number 3 should be an office manager, somebody that you can put in an administrative position to run your day-to-day. Okay, and this is where it comes down to. That third person is going to be the replacement of you somewhere, either as a manager or as a marketer. But these are distinct roles that need to exist in your company. Now, if you're asking yourself, what does all of this have to do with goal setting? Well, what it does is, if you want to hit 500,000 to 750,000 by the end of 2021, you need to start acting as if your business is operating on that level. Okay, I'm not saying go out there and put your house up for a second mortgage to hire people. What I'm saying is start putting your systems in place. Okay. Put your systems in place. Okay. Meaning, get things moving in such a way that if you needed to go away on vacation, or if you had a family emergency of your own, who is going to do the work? Can you trust your office to run itself? Take a task. All right, we'll take the big task. Okay. Let me see, this thing is again not cooperating. Okay. You take the big task and you break it down to smaller ones. Okay. So let's say, for example, our big task is caregiver recruitment. So we know that we want to recruit caregivers. So what's one of the items that needs to happen? Well, we need to develop an ad. Okay. And well, once this ad is done, what has to happen next? It needs to be distributed. What else needs to happen? We need to make appointments with the job placement. What else needs to happen? So at this point, we need to start calling and following up for interviews. And then once the interviews come in, we need to verify licensing if it's needed. We need to verify the physicals. We need to start taking the applications, administering the tests. All of these things, make checklists and make sure that all the boxes are ticked off. Make sure that everything is down to its simplest form and put your system in place. And you'd repeat this over and over and you test it. Okay. This way, you can walk away and feel comfortable that, all right, I need to be gone for 2 weeks. My business is not going to fall apart. See, many of our scheduling softwares, we have ClearCare, CanTime, Kisner, there's a bunch of them out there. Many of them are cloud-based now. This isn't like the old days. See, like when I started in the industry, I'm going to date myself a little bit since I already told you all my age anyway. We used to literally print out these giant spreadsheets. All right, and go home with them. So if a caregiver called out at 2 o'clock in the morning, it wasn't like today where you just type in a few keystrokes into your computer and you can pull up every caregiver that's available. You had these giant spreadsheets, books. I'm talking about some of these books we used to take home with us at night were like 40, 50 pounds. All right, because if you work for a large enough agency that had 1,000 or 2,000 caregivers, you were taking all of their information at home and then taking notes and figuring out what clients they're in, and you had to cross-reference. It's easy today. You open up your smartphone, type it in, and you can pull up who's available, what caregivers you have. Same thing is with the rest of the progress of your business. All right, if somebody is calling out, this can all be managed. If you have revenue reports that you want to look at while you're sitting on the beach down in the Bahamas, you can just open up your smartphone and, oh, okay, hey, listen, give a call. Hey, Mr. or Mrs. Manager person, what's going on? Why did we lose 5 clients yesterday? Because you have it all at the tip of your fingers. So you need to make sure that you have these systems in place. Another tip to reach your goals for your business is write them down every month. Hey, all right, so let's say, for example, it doesn't matter if you're the only person in the office. Make sure it's somewhere where it's visible. All right. Hey, today, our goals are to hit 500 hours a week. Great. We want to recruit and have ready for hire, not necessarily hire, but have ready for hire 5 caregivers. Okay, so now this is the first of the month. So now let's fast forward. January 31st. We're going to sit down with our team, or we're going to review our goals ourselves, and we're going to just simply ask, what happened? And you ask the same question whether you hit your goals or you didn't. Because if you hit your goals, well, what did we do right? And let's repeat that. If we didn't hit our goals, where do we need more training? Where do we need improvement? What do we need to look at so that we hit our goals the next time? You don't change the goalpost unless you're improving it. If you hit your 500 hours a week billable hours this month, next month it should be 600, then 700, and you move on. All right, that 500 hours a week, by the way, it's, if some of you are asking yourself why that specific number, it's an industry standard. That's the, if you guys look at Homecare Pulse or any of these other agency or industry standard metrics measurements, 500 hours is right around the point where you're going to start making money, where your business starts to really go from, just, hey, this might be something I want to do, to, hey, this is a real business. Okay. And so 500 hours is usually that first goal that people want, that first benchmark. All right. So we have our systems, we're hitting our goals, we're measuring our goals. Okay. The next thing you really want to do, and this is probably the best tip that I was ever given when I started doing this and I started moving into helping others grow their business. And I share this all the time. Get your staff used to bringing you information you already know. Okay, let me explain what I mean by that. If you have a marketer and you have a goal for them of, let's say, 5 referrals a month so that it converts into about 3 clients. All right, so when you're reviewing that at the end of the month, if they did not, or even if they did, whatever the outcome was of that 5 referrals, ask them to bring you the process that got them there. Are you tracking how many phone calls you're making, how many emails you sent out, who you spoke to, where you spoke to them? What are the details of your visits, your contacts? How many lunch and learns did you do, or in services? What are you doing to progress my business? How much marketing material are you distributing? What kind of marketing material are you distributing? You should already have all of this information, but you want them to get into the habit of bringing it to you simply because it creates a higher level of accountability. If I know that you already have this information, but you're asking me to bring it to you anyway, I am less likely to fudge the numbers. Because you as an owner are looking at the progress that's being made by monitoring your CRM, by monitoring your scheduling software. So you already know by the notes whether or not your schedulers are doing their quality assurance checks, whether or not these on-site visits are being done. And if you start losing clients or you start developing a bad reputation out in the field and your business is just stagnant or not growing, it's not just on you to sit there and lose sleep overnight, every night. Oh my goodness, my business isn't growing. It's actually going to put the onus on your employee as well, because they know they're being watched. You have set a standard. And when you set standards, you set expectations. And when you set expectations, you get results. Because there's a simple principle in business that's been around for hundreds of years. What gets measured gets done. Never forget that. And this is it. This is all that your goals are about. Figure out what your numbers are. Work backwards. Okay? Just work backwards. Get your systems in place. What needs to happen and at what point? What triggers what event? Let's move in the right direction. Let's understand who our clients are. And let's figure out what do we need to do to service each of these clients. What are our expectations of our staff? Let's measure it. Let's set these goals. Let's understand what is going on, why it's happening, what are we doing right? And please, that is very important. When we get to on Thursday about employee retention and caregiver retention, understanding what they're doing right is just as important as understanding what needs to be corrected. Okay, when I was in the Army, there was a philosophy that actually one of my most memorable sergeants ever used to say. He always used to tell us, you praise in public and you punish in private. So if somebody is doing something right, make a big deal out of it. Let them know. It'll motivate your team. Okay? Any questions so far? Anybody want to talk about anything? Ask me any questions relating to setting these goals.